So to start off this Charley Harper project, we're going to pick each of the paper colors that we need for our collage. Then we're going to look at the largest shapes first. Now for this tiger, one of the largest shapes is the circular shape of his head. So that's what I'm going to start with. I have this orange paper. I'm going to trace that using a stencil to make it much more geometric, and then I'm going to cut it out. Now the next largest shape it's almost a rectangle, and it's okay to kind of create the shapes as close as you can. So I'm going to use a ruler to create this rectangle shape that's it's his body and neck, and then I'm going to cut that out. Next is his nose and mouth, which is just a curved shape. So I'm just going to draw that part out and then cut it out. After that, I'm going to start looking, now that I have all my orange together, I'm going to start looking at the white, which is the next largest shapes on the tiger. So the tiger has these curved white lines around, so I'm going to use this geometric stencil to help me make those curved white lines that will go along the tiger's face, along the side of his face. I also see that there is some white on the tiger's mouth, in his snout area. So I'm going to trace the shape that I've already created so that I make sure that my white shape fits inside of that shape just like it does on the collage. I'm going from bigger to smaller. Next, I am noticing that there is some half circle or curved shapes that are right above the tiger eye, and they are white also. I'm going to draw those shapes out, fold my paper in half so I can cut out two that are symmetrical, and I'm going to add those. I also did the same thing with the ears. They are completely white, so I cut out two shapes that are curved, almost half circles, and added the ears. Next, I am starting to see all of the black stripes. I think that's the next thing I'm going to tackle. All of these lines are almost just long, skinny rectangles, with the exception of these curved lines along the face that are very similar to the curved white line. So I'm going to use a stencil and cut out those curved black lines, as well as some long, skinny strips for all of the tiger stripes on his body and face. And at this point, I have enough shapes cut out that I'm going to start gluing down. So I'm going to take all my pieces and be very careful not to lose any of them and begin attaching them to my background. So I'm going to glue them down. I'm using a glue stick so that I don't get those wavy lines that you get from white glue. Be sure to go along the outside edge of every single thing that you are gluing down to make sure it is completely glued down. When it comes to making shapes that are more geometric, you can draw them out first. Here you see me drawing out the triangle shape for the pink nose on a pink piece of paper. I'll cut that out and then glue it down. I kind of just measure it against all the other shapes to make sure that it's the right size and shape. For the tiny black details, such as the pupil of the eyes, the dots that are around the mouth, and there are some really small circles, and I'm talking very small, tiny details, you can use a black Sharpie to draw those details in, especially if it's just a line. That is fine. We're not using a Sharpie for any large details, like obviously the black stripes are going to be paper, but for the smaller, tiny details, a Sharpie is fine to use to draw those details on. This is also the same if you have really small details that are on your animal that maybe are not black but are another color. And now that I worked from the largest details down to the smallest, I'm going to start adding my background shapes. Remember, I want you to add some background shapes that tell some details about your animal. For example, what they like to eat or where they live. Tigers live in the jungle, so I'm going to add lots of jungle leaves. You can see these in the original Charley Harper artwork, but also I'm going to add extra that kind of surround this tiger so it looks like he's creeping through some of the vegetation that's in the jungle. So add those details that tell a little bit about your animal. And once you have completed all the details and you have added the background, make sure everything is glued down, and I can't wait to see your masterpieces.